What's going on, everybody? It's the Hook Cam back again with another film preview slash prediction. This time we're taking a look at the LA Rams and the Green Bay Packers game going on this Saturday or Sunday. I can't remember off the top of my head when the game is. But I think there might be a little bit of a general consensus that the Green Bay Packers are just going to roll against the Rams, right? Rams got to go up to a cold, snowy Lambeau Field. You got an injured Jared Goff. You're not going to be able to do anything against that defense, right? There might be a little bit of generalizations in that sense that I just can't get behind, to be honest with you. When I've gone back and watched Packers film, I see some holes in that defense that could have been addressed this offseason that weren't. And those are some big gripes that I have with this Packers defense and why I think that the Rams actually have a good chance to go into Green Bay and upset. And I'm going to get into all of that in just 1 second. First, if you could hit that like button, hit that subscribe button to my channel, The Hook Cam, as well as to Jackson Kruger Sports. That would mean the world to both of us. Okay, first things first with this video. What I want to show you guys is this Green Bay Packers front seven, okay? They do a really good job of mixing up their defensive fronts, right? They technically run a 3-4, but they mess with it a lot so you can get into four-man fronts, essentially with it like your traditional overs and unders. In this situation right here, Titans have their 12 personnel, two tight ends to the right of the formation. Usually the Packers are lined up in a traditional 3-4, right? So you got your nose tackle head up on the center. You'll have your defensive end either head up on the tackle or inside shade, right? You got your two defensive ends on the outside. All that happens is, since we have our 12 personnel right here, we're going to bump this defensive end out to be head up on the tight end. We're going to bump what would be our nose tackle over to the 3 tech, right? And then we have our traditional nose tackle, who's Kenny Clark, but who would be like that backside end in this situation. He's lined up in a 1 tech, right? Now, yes, they do a really good job getting into their fronts. I think that they're outstanding on the edges of their defense with the two Smiths, right? Where they are lacking, though, is in the backer position, specifically their middle linebackers. I think that their middle linebackers, they're not bad, and I hate saying that guys in the NFL aren't good because they're in the NFL and they're extremely talented, but their backers have a tendency to get eaten up on double teams, to over pursue your zone plays, your wide zone and stuff. And I know you're probably thinking, why am I watching the Titans? Why am I watching the Vikings? Because these teams run a ton of inside and wide zone. And what that does is you're going to get backers who over pursue, and the Packers do this time and time again. Here's a really good example, right? We're working just a really simple inside zone with a lead, okay? We have one backer who's just staying backside and another who's completely over pursued this play. Easily we cut this thing back with Dalvin Cook because 54 kind of tries to slow play it and then works all the way over the top. And then with this play right here, just your traditional wide zone, right? Working straight out of the gun. We got no tight ends in this situation, but our backers are just subpar in this situation. They really are. And especially when you have teams who can mismatch your personnel pre-snap, like in this situation, right? Vikings have 10 personnel probably. We can't see the outsides. We have a safety or a nickel, whoever you want to call it, in the box in this situation with a backer. So we basically have a 4-1 with this really easy wide zone that we're going to work right here, right? Boom, we're working this. We're working these two up to this backer. We're working here, and we're working up to there. If this dude makes a play coming backside, outstanding. Right? But what happens with this is that we have to be great with our gaps. And that's not what happens with the Packers. Sometimes they get out-schemed and out-manned with their run fits. And that's really, really interesting to me for a team who's, supposed to be the 1 seed in the NFC. And again, I don't want to talk bad about the Packers. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just trying to, if I'm looking at it from the Rams' perspective, this is where I see holes in their defense, right? Once again, with this right here, they're whamming in this situation, right? All they're doing is running inside zone with a wham, right? They're running inside zone left. They have a wham on the back side of it, but the backers just are not in the right positions, right? We see this right here. We have to shoot this right now. He's in the right gap. We have to get up here right now for this backer, and we don't. We end up kind of floating back. Dalvin Cook creases it, and now the Vikings are really good at running this. But where I started to get concerned when watching the Green Bay Packers is when I saw the film against the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars ran the ball very well against the Green Bay Packers this season. And where I noticed it is because the Packers have a tendency to go in like a traditional bear front, where they have a nose tackle, they have an end on the 3 tech, right? Your 2 3 techs, and then your 2 edge players. It fits with what they want to do. The strength of their defense is at the edge position. Let's try and isolate those guys. Let's try and get those guys on an island. Problem is, the other thing that your traditional traditional bear defense will do is it puts this guy on an island, okay? And if this dude isn't an absolute dog, I mean an absolute, like, this dude is your best player on the field, then you're going to have trouble succeeding with this defense, right? I think that they have a lot of the other positions. They have a lot of the other pieces. They're outstanding on the edges. They have an outstanding defensive lineman in Kenny Clark, but they don't have a middle linebacker who's willing to just absolutely eat nails, blow through linemen to get to running backs. They don't have a dude who can get there, and that I think is the issue. Now, when we look at some of this stuff that the Jaguars are doing, right, we can see again that our backers are out of position. In this situation right here, we're just running a really simple counter, okay? And now this backer's trying to run fit, absolutely. He's working straight into this A gap right here, but he's going to end up getting picked up by this tackle, get scraping over the top, and this is a good job by the offensive line. I'm not trying to say that it's not, but once again, I feel like these backers, and it's not just I feel, I know these backers are out of position a lot of times, right? Here we go with our wide zone again, and this is a theme that we're seeing with the Green Bay Packers now, right? Here we go with our wide zone, okay? Kenny Clark's in this gap right here. We're supposed to be working over the top. We got to fill, and then we got to work over the top to squeeze, and then there's our force player on the backside. We're going to be short on the backside of this thing. But what are we doing with 58? We got to get into this gap right here. We can't be hanging backside and getting blocked by a backer and making a tackle 4 or 5 yards downfield. You're not helping us then. And we see this time and time again from the Green Bay Packers, and that to me is what worries me, because when you look at this Rams offense, that's really where you see them starting to gain yardage and to be lethal with them, right? Just look at this play right here, okay? We have 58 in the box. They end up motioning him out because they're going 3-by-1, so he's the dude who's got to work out, and that's part of the thing when they go with this 3-4, and really I look at this defense and I think it's a bear because of how in the box these cats are right here, right? They do not want to stray away from having 5 dudes on the line of scrimmage at all times. They do not want to do it, okay? What that means is that you're going to have to man dudes up on the outside, which means you're going to pull backers from the box. And when you shift your front like this, it gives you the opportunity to run stuff like the Jaguars are doing right here, which is a really, really simple weak side wide zone. Now, why are we bossed up over here with 54? I'll tell you, because he's got to work this way because of where the back is. If this back leaks out into the flat, he's got to get there because he's in man coverage. But as we see on this, right, I don't know why he's stepping out there, what brought him that way. But as we see on this, all the Jaguars are doing is running a really simple weak side wide zone. Boom, we're working here. These two are working up to 54. We're working right there. This dude's just got to find a crease. We're stretching this thing to the play side. We work right upfield into that gap. Great block by that receiver. And we're picking up good yardage. And I see the Rams being able to do this to the Packers. I really do. Now I'm going to fast forward a little bit to some Rams footage because we've seen enough of the Jacksonville Jaguars playing the Packers. Let's talk about how the Rams are going to do it. This is why I think the Rams are going to have success this weekend. If there's one thing that they're great at, it's getting backers out of position with their jet motions pre-snap. That is their thing. Everybody knows it, right? Now, when we look at how they work it into their scheme, all they do, right, they're still running your traditional wide zone. You're still running your traditional inside zone. All they're doing, though, is they're window dressing it pre-snap. What does that do? It gets backers out of position. Look at 54, 56, and 33 on this play. These 3 cats right here. Okay, we bring Cooper Kupp across the field like that. It's going to bump over 54. Now look what happened. Already we're working this way right here, which sets up our cutback from our running back on the backside. Boom, we cut this thing back. There's nobody there because we've already set that up. We've already pushed those backers to that play side. That to me is going to put the Packers in such a bind. They have to be able to win at the line of scrimmage if they want to win this thing. This is kind of what the Rams are great at, is this false keying, right? And setting up these situations where it's going to be tough for backers to get off. Now, in this situation, right, Andrew Whitworth is supposed to be the guy who's working up to this mic. This defensive lineman does a good job of just taking him through the play, right? If we watch this cat right here, Whitworth's going to come down. He just kind of slow plays it and works both of them out of the way. This is a really good job, right? I'm just looking at kind of Cam Akers highlights. It was actually the other guy. But the fact that Cam Akers is making Bobby Wagner missing space says a lot about Cam Akers, right? But when we look at situations like this with the Rams, it's not just the fact that they're running their zone stuff out of any formation they please. It's also that they're running their power. They're mixing up their run schemes, right? We look at something like this right here. This is actually a really cool play. Okay, so what we're going to get out of this is we're working down and he's working to this backer right here, but how he does it, he kind of hops and slow plays it, which means that he's got to get friction friction on this dude's shoulder. That's his job. He's got to get friction right here, right? And you can see as he works down, but what happens with that is that as he's squeezing right here, now we have the chance to work up and wrap with that right there. Higbee actually peels back out and works to that defensive back who's over their point man. A lot of stuff like that. So anyway, what am I saying about the Rams? They do a lot to confuse you pre-snap. They love to use that jet motion pre-snap to get backers and defensive backs out of position. I think that's going to be a problem for the Packers. Now, moving on to their passing game. What am I going to do with Jared Goff? Very simple. Quick game, quick game, quick game. I do not want Jared Goff to hold the ball for too long. I want him to be working play actions. I want him to be working rollouts. I want that ball out of his hands as quick as possible, but I want the defense to have to account for it, which is exactly what they did against the Seahawks, right? Quick passes. They're using their running game to set up their passing game. That's just who they are at this point, especially with Goff's injury, right? And when you do it enough, you're going to end up forcing the Packers to be in man coverage, which is always going to be a problem when you're running your play action stuff. Now, is the Rams defense going to do against the Green Bay Packers offense? And I'm going to try and get through this quick because I already have a lot of editing to do. The Packers run a tremendous amount of inside and wide zone, the same way that a lot of teams do in the NFL. I just notice it more with the Packers. I don't see them pulling guards and tackles a lot. They could be because I don't watch, religiously Packers film. But that's going to be a problem against the Rams, in my opinion, because they are winning at the point of attack right now with their defensive line and defensive tackles, right? And they're doing a really good job of working into, it's kind of like what I said with the Packers, right? I just think that these dudes are a little bit more athletic and they can be a little bit more versatile than the Packers guys are. With this situation right here, I do kind of just want to point this out. This is a really clever defense that they got going on here. He's working into this gap. 51's working here. 41's working here. And then we're going to have the safety roll down and work into run support on this side. Just an interesting little scheme that the Rams have dialed up there. But the big thing that I want to show you guys is that they're winning at the point of attack. You look at these defensive linemen. You look at Aaron Donald, 97. I don't know their names to them by heart, and I'm sorry about that. That's extremely unprofessional. But you look at how 45's playing right here, right? And this is kind of one of the guys and one of the plays that I looked at where I was like, wow, Rams might have something going. Seahawks are running a very simple inside zone with a wham, right? We're working these two up to this, these two would probably be working here. We're whamming on the back side. This dude's working here. We got one-on-one with Donald, but chances are we're working to cut this thing back. 45 is just an absolute champion on this play as he works through a wham and then gets up to make a tackle on that. It's just special stuff that we're seeing, right? And I think that them up front, when they're working their 3-4, they're playing very gap sound football right now. And then on top of that, with extremely athletic backers, I think that they're going to have a chance to slow down that Packers running game. Now, let's talk about the passing game. This was a little bit conflicting for me because the Seahawks offensive line is not good by any means. And so it's kind of unfair to sit there and say, Aaron Donald's just going to ball out. He's going to take care of everything. And that's how they're going to get pressure on Aaron Rodgers. No, that's not how it's going to work. The Packers have a very stout offensive line. Unfortunately, they don't have David Bakhtiari, but they still have a very stout offensive line. This dude is still a problem, though. And I'm not just going to go back and say what I said I wasn't going to say, but chances are if this dude's one-on-one with a guard in the NFL, he's going to win. So you have to find ways to make sure that your protection is sliding towards him, or that you're so confident with your guard, right? Or even if you're not confident with your guard, right? Do something where you work your back up and chip on the inside, or make sure that we're staying tight in here with our tackle, right? There's ways to work around Aaron Donald. So the fact that I can't just go and in all honesty and all professionalism, sit there and say Aaron Donald's going to dominate the offensive line, and that's that. What I will say is that the Rams do a very good job of stunting their defensive line, right? When you look at their coverage, are they really doing anything in coverage that's just, mind-blowing? No, they're staying in your traditional, right? This is kind of a bastardized Tampa 2, I would call it, with these two working here. You could call this cover 3 as well. It looks kind of funky. I think this is like 3rd and 20, though. But up front, they are doing an excellent job of stunning their defensive line and defensive tackles and creating some miscommunications on the offensive line like we see with this play. That I think is obviously going to play into their advantage. The more you can get Rodgers into these 3rd and long situations, the more liberty you can have with that. One thing I will say is I don't know how healthy Aaron Donald is, which is obviously going to be a major factor. When we look at the coverage game for the Los Angeles Rams, again, that's where I think that they excel, and that's where I think that they're going to be difficult for the Packers to run against or to throw against. Now, I will say, everybody wants to talk about Jalen Ramsey's going to lock up Davante Adams and they're kind of doing the football math of, oh, he locked up DK Metcalf, he's going to be able to lock up Davante Adams. Let's be clear about something. Davante Adams is a top 3 route runner in the NFL, and he's going to have times where he absolutely torches Jalen Ramsey. That's just the way it is. Davante Adams, people say built different. Davante Adams is built different. You look at his releases off the line. Look at this right here against the Indianapolis Colts. This dude is an absolute freak. If you're not your best on every single snap, he's going to beat you, right? He's going to find spaces in the field. He's going to jab step on the inside and then wheel right around you. This dude is an absolute stud when it comes to running routes, especially getting off the line of scrimmage. In saying that, I think that he is going to win more reps against Jalen Ramsey than obviously DK Metcalf did. And this is just some clips against the Colts to show you guys that. I will say, though, the one team that I saw that really put the Packers to the test and really smoked the Packers was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Why did they do that? Honestly, they were more physical up front, and they had better corners than everybody else the Packers had played. And that's my biggest knock on the Packers. It's not their fault. But they play in the NFC North. They play the Bears, the Lions, and the Vikings. The Vikings had no corners this year. The Detroit Lions are, they're still working. They're still building. Yes, they have Jeffrey Okudah, but he's by no means a lockdown corner. And the Bears, yes, they're good. They have a solid defense and pass rush, but again, it's nobody that Aaron Rodgers doesn't know and that he can torch. When they played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a team that was physical at the line of scrimmage, a team that had very athletic backers, a team who was, willing to take chances, a team who was willing to just bracket Davante Adams and force Aaron Rodgers to go elsewhere, that's where he struggled. And that's my biggest knock on the Packers, and it's been like that since the draft, where they pass up a receiver like T. Higgins, or they pass up a linebacker who's going to really help their defense, and they invest in the future. And I get that. But you've got one of the best quarterbacks of all times in Aaron Rodgers, and the fact that they aren't giving him help is just painful to see. I digress, though. Right now they're in the playoffs, and let's focus on that. The team that really messed with them was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's because they pressured, it's because they were physical on the outsides, and it's because they had corners who could run with the Packers receivers. I think the Rams have that, and that's why I think it's going to be a close game on Sunday or Saturday, and I would not be shocked to see the Rams come away with a win. Anyway, guys, that's all I got for you guys today. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, if you could hit that like button, hit that subscribe button to my channel, The Hook Cam, as well as the Jackson Kruger Sports, that would mean the world to both of us. That's all I got for you guys today. Stay safe, wash those hands. Let's enjoy some football this weekend, and I'll see you next time.